Let's begin basic skills review number 5. This time we're going to review square and cube roots. This is something that you just worked on in pre-algebra. Those of you who are in Algebra 1, this will be a good review for you for cube and square roots, which you will be needing soon also in algebra. So let's take a look at the notes. A square root of a number is one of its two equal factors. Numbers such as 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25 are called perfect squares. Because they are squares of integers. So 1 is 1 times 1, 4 is 2 times 2, 9 is 3 times 3, 16 is 4 times 4, 25 is 5 times 5. Example, 5 squared equals 25, so the square root of 25 is 5. 5 is one of two equal factors of 25. A cube root of a number is one of its three equal factors. Numbers such as 8, 27, and 64 are called perfect cubes because they are cubes of integers. So 8 is 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. 27, 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. 64, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Example, 3 to the third equals 27, so the cube root of 27 is 3. 3 is one of three equal factors of 27. Let's look at the practice problems. Number 1 says 2 to the second power, or 2 squared. 2 squared equals 4, and the square root of 4 equals 2. Number 2, 4 squared equals 16, because remember that 4 squared means 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. 4 is one of two equal factors of 16. 2 to the third equals 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and the cube root of 8 is 2, because 2 is one of three equal factors of 8. Number 4, 5 cubed is the same as 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125, and the cube root of 125 is 5, because 5 is one of three equal factors of 125. Now let's look at what happens when you have negatives involved. Number 5, if the negative is outside the radical sign, then it makes the answer negative. So the square root of 16 is 4, but the negative is outside, so we get negative 4. Recall what happens when the negative is inside the radical sign. Our answer is no real solution. You might recall in earlier grades you were told that it was impossible to find the answer to the square root of a negative number. That is not actually true. Now we know that there is no real solution, meaning there is no real number solution. We've talked about real numbers being rational and irrational numbers. So the solution to negative 16 is not one of those numbers, and that's a number that you will talk about when you get into Algebra 2. Number 7, recall that actually each positive integer has two square roots. It has a positive and a negative. So the positive negative square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. We don't always talk about the negative square root or the negative number that is the square root, because generally we're talking about the principal square root, which is the positive. Number 8, the negative cube root of 125. The cube root of 125 is 5. The negative on the outside makes it negative 5. Number 9, recall that you can take the cube root of a negative number. We know the cube root of 125 is 5. The cube root of negative 125 is negative 5. If you work it out, you get negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. We just talked about in the previous lesson that if you have an odd number of negatives, in this case we have 3, that's odd, then our answer is going to be negative. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 125 times 25 times negative 5 is negative 125. So it is possible to take the cube root of a negative number. Let's write our perfect squares up through 400. We'll start with 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. 14 times 14 is 196. 15 times 15 is 225. 16 times 16 is 256. 17 times 17 is 289. 18 times 18 is 324. 19 times 19 is 361. And 20 times 20 is 400. Remember that I said it was important that you memorize your perfect squares from 1 to 400. The reason for that is you will need them this year when we talk about square and cube roots, and you will need them as you go into Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 when you solve radical equations. Write perfect cubes to 1,000. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. And 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. Again, it's important that you memorize your perfect cubes from 1 to 1,000. Once you have finished with this basic skills review video for number 5, you may go ahead and start your homework. Basic skills homework number 5 says use your notes, do not guess. You may not use a calculator. You will receive a grade and there will be quiz over this material. You'll notice at the bottom that there are some square and cube roots that are not perfect squares or perfect cubes. These things we did not go over, but you should be able to estimate them since you know your perfect squares and perfect cubes. You should also be able to order from least to greatest and put the numbers on a number line. Once you're able to do this and you get a satisfactory grade on homework number 5, then you may move to basic skills review number 6.